The first list we'll talk about is the negative equity list. So, very briefly, I'll try to keep this short and simple. This is an extremely niche list. Here's what happens when somebody buys a property and pulls a mortgage against the property. At the time of their closing, they get, depending on your state, either a mortgage or a deed of trust. And the initial amount is public information in the Register of Deeds office. Now, what doesn't happen is that amount on that deed of trust or mortgage does not decrease as people are paying down their mortgages. Okay, so if somebody purchased a home, say 15 years ago, for $200,000, unless they've refied or done anything like that, which we filter all that stuff out, um, then that deed of trust or mortgage will still show as $200,000. Now, 15 years into it, they might only owe $130,000, but in the records it displays as $200,000. So when we do the equity filtering, it'll look at whatever that deed of trust amount is, and it will compare it to what it estimates today's value to be. So if today's value is determined to be, say, $230,000, it's going to look at the deed of trust for $200,000 and say, okay, this property only has $30,000 in equity, which for most wholesalers' accounts is not enough. But in truth, that property might have $90,000 to $100,000 in equity, which is very much enough to do a deal. So what we do is we target the lists that, per the records, per the database, have negative equity to very, very little equity, but were purchased at least 10 years ago, 10 plus years ago. And then culminate that data and bring that to you. And what we have found is that most of these leads get filtered out of the equity filtering. These people get targeted very, very little, and they actually do, in fact, have a lot of equity in their property and can be a great way to do deals. We would encourage you very much to try this list and would like to hear feedback on how it works for you.